Another controversial video. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. I was in the chow hall. Dude kept saying, "Say white boy, say white boy." And the white dude was ignoring him. He said, "Say white boy." And the dude turned around and things just got crazy real quick. This is the story. In southern prisons, the term white boy can either be okay or it can be disrespectful, depending on how the white dude who's being called white boy takes it, or depending on how the black dude who's using the term white boy actually intends it to be used. Well, this particular black dude obviously meant it as a disrespectful taunt to the dude he was talking to. So I learned that early on, that when I went to prison, just because somebody calls you white boy don't mean that they just don't know your name. It means they might be disrespecting you, because the reality is in Louisiana prison, some white dudes really are cowards, and some of them actually are boys. A boy in prison is a punk, basically. So don't nobody want to be called no boy. But a lot of times black dudes don't really intend it to be disrespectful when they call you white boy. It's just that's just the term they use, right? They just to say white boy because they don't know you, And as they're getting to know you, they know your name. Now, if they know your name and they keep calling you white boy, well, you just probably going to bat them in their mouth and handle your business to get them to stop, But some black dudes, they just use it to be disrespectful, right? And so I'm in the chow hall, and one of my rounds, who I ain't gonna use his name right now, he's a white dude. He's about his business, And he's eating his food in the chow hall, and he just gets to the prison. He's only there for like a week, maybe less than that. We in the chow hall eating, and the way that the southern Louisiana prisons work, it ain't like in California where everything's segregated. You got your own tables. In Louisiana, the chow hall and pretty much most of the prisons I've been to, I have to really recollect because I've been to a lot of prisons, and from what my mind is comprehending right now, most of the prisons is the first table up, that's in the order that's open, you just fill it up, you fill the seats up. And so, you just kind of go in line, and just fill the tables up, next. So whites and blacks eat together all the time in Louisiana prisons. There's nothing normal. Whites and blacks can be friends in Louisiana prison, nothing out the ordinary there. Well, anyway, we sitting down eating chow, and this black dude who's sitting one table over from the white dude, he looks at him, and they must have ran out of, because they got salt and pepper shakers on the tables inside the prison. And so they must have ran out the salt or pepper or whatever. I think it was the salt. And he ran out and he said, "Say, white boy, hand me that salt." And my boy's eating his food. You know what I mean? He got the food in his hand. He's mean mugging, mean dogging, like an old hound around his food, face in, daring somebody to come by and got his arms on his tray, he's just wham, shoveling it. Looking around, he got that look on his face, white dude, looking around. "Say, white boy, hand me the salt." He's the only white dude on the table. It's a 4-man table. Other 3 dudes on the table were black. And so it was obvious that the only person he was talking to was that dude, right? And I'm sitting like I forgot, it was like a table across or a table on the side from him, kind of a little bit away diagonally. And I'm listening to the whole thing because the dude's getting loud now. He says, "Say, white boy, hand me that salt, bruh." And my boys kind of looks. And the black dudes on the table are looking at him. And you could see, you know what I mean? So everybody peep games. You can visually observe somebody and see what kind of person they are or aren't. And this dude got the look on his face that says, "Hey, bruh, don't freaking mess with me or I'm going to bite you." He got that look. You ever seen a dog that looks so vicious? You like, yeah, if you touch that dog, they're going to bite you. Well, he got that look to him. And he's eating his food. Looking around. Dude said, "Say, white boy," I said, "hand me the salt." And my boy, he kind of looks around this time. And he looks around and he's like, man. He don't say nothing, but he's thinking to himself, I know he can't be talking. There's no way in the world that dude is talking to me. There's no possible way in the world that dude's telling me, "Say, white boy, hand me the salt." Disrespectful tone like that. You could see written all over his face. He ain't playing that. So it's obvious that this dude didn't get the memo that he was poking a bear. He didn't get the memo that if you poke and push a rabid dog in the corner, it's going to bite you. And he really didn't know he was messing with a rabid dog. I'm going to give him credit for that. There were some people who just didn't know. They ain't too smart. They don't know how to peep game. They can't tell by looking at somebody, no matter what color they are, that, this ain't the dude you want to mess with. Here's the thing. They got some black dudes, right? They just take all white people for cowards, which that's not, only foolish people do that. Either A, foolish black people do that, or B, black people who are, which there's a small amount, they really about their business. And they ignorant and they down to just get down for no matter what. But most can get whooped. Anybody can get whooped, and a white boy can whoop you quick. You know what I mean? Specifically one like this. And so he's eating his food and he's thinking to himself, because I talked to him later and he's telling me, he's thinking, man, there ain't no way in the world that dude's talking to me. There ain't, in his mind, because that's the type of dude he is. He's like, there ain't no way in the world that dude is calling me white boy and disrespecting me in front of all these people in the chow hall. And he said he just shoveling the food in his mouth, but he's starting to think to himself, man, I'm about to get this dude. And the dude, you know what I mean? He's barking up the wrong tree, obvious. And he finally says, say, white boy, you heard me, you the only white boy right there. Hand me that mother effing salt. My boy gets up calmly. He got the salt in his hand. He slams the salt on the table. Bow! Now everybody in the chow hall looks when he hits the salt on the table right on side his tray. Boom! He hits the tray. He stands up. He looks at him and he says, hey, you get the mother effing salt yourself. Hard N-word. The hard N-word right in dude's face. And everybody's looking, you know what I mean? And keep in mind, this dude has already done time in multiple prisons. And there are dudes in that chow hall who know him. And they know he's going to get busy, And so the dude who he uses the hard N-word to, who was calling him white boy, man, he just stands there like a deer stuck in the headlight. He did not expect my boy to get up and check him like that in front of everybody. So what happens, and my boy got the salt, he said, come get it, N-word, come get it. He sits back down on old boy and continues to eat. Everything is eerily quiet at this point. All eyes are on the black dude who was calling the dude white boy. Man, don't you know this dude did not do nothing after all that? My boy never even he got in a bunch of fights. Immediately after that, like probably a day or two after that, he got in a fight. This dude was fighting once a week. But he never did fight that dude. That dude learned real quick that there are some white dudes you just don't call white boy to, and he was one of them. And that's just the way it is, man. So you got to be careful, man, on how you use things. Here's the thing. None of the black dudes got offended because the reality was in Louisiana prisons, if you handle your business no matter what, and the worst thing that I learned, you know what I mean, talking to some dudes in prison, I have a lot of my rounds of black dudes. Like I said, I grew up, in a black and white neighborhood. I went to school with mostly blacks, so I've been around black folk all my life, you know what I mean? And sometimes you get those them stupid black folk who don't know no better, you know what I mean? Or you get them stupid white people who don't know no better, and they get offended, when you start talking about this stuff, because they don't understand, because they're just too dumb. They stuck in their own little bubbles. But the reality is, man, dudes gonna respect dudes because real gonna respect real. And the worst thing in prison for some black dudes is to get beat by a white boy. That because it ain't from the white dudes ain't gonna be the one that rub in their face, but it's the other black dudes who are never gonna let that dude live it down, and they're gonna disrespect him the whole time because he got whooped by a white boy. So before some dudes, now there's certain white dudes in prison who, when black dudes get in fights with, the white dude was just that much of a savage that even if you lost to him or you got a draw, the white dude might be a Golden Glove boxer, he might be into karate, and I got stories on that too, where there was one white dude, man, the black dude who picked on him, man, inside the prison. Like they told him, they said, man, you could have picked 98% of the white boys in here and you would have beat them. They said, you picked one of the only ones you shouldn't have did that to. That's another story for another day. But this dude dropped that hard N-word and nobody else said nothing, And because they knew one thing, man, you were disrespecting the white boy, man, you steady dropping white boy, you should have handled your business. That's on you. You know what I mean? You got checked. You know what I mean? And they disassociate themselves with him too. And they start strong on him. So you got to be careful what you do in prison and what you say. And listen, man, before you get all offended and start dropping thumbs downs and crying in the comments section, this is just a true story on how things work in prison. And if you go watch any of the prison channels, sometimes things kick off with races. It's just the way it is. Now in Louisiana, it's a lot more free and open. blacks and whites grew up together and they could hang together in prison. But the reality is a lot of younger white dudes are usually the ones who are being targeted as victims. But not all the white dudes are weak or cowards. A lot of them will stand up and fight and handle their business, right? And if you choose the wrong one, then that's just what's going to happen. You know, you're going to get checked by the wrong dude and you're going to get in a fight. Anyway, man, thanks for watching the Pen and the Shank. I hope you enjoyed this story. Give me a like and subscribe. And you're watching the most unusual and unique crime and prison related experience on all of YouTube. I tell stories a little bit differently and I bring a different side to things. Let's get it.